After years of covering the mortgage, my sister showed up at my wedding with a bucket of crimson paint, intent on ruining it. Now she's claiming my house belongs to her. They've taken me to court, over the home I paid for, the dog they neglected, and for supposedly fracturing the family. But this time, the judge listened to me. My parents pressed me to come home for the holidays. After a grueling 5-hour trip, I arrived only to find they'd left me to watch their dog while they jetted off on a luxurious cruise without me. I held my tongue, didn't argue. I just smiled. But when they returned and saw what I'd done, they erupted. Let's rewind. It started with a text in early December. "Are you coming home this year?" my mom wrote. "It'd mean the world to your father and me." Then came the message that hit me hard. "The holidays feel empty without you." I stared at that one for a long time. It was the kind of sentiment I'd longed to hear for years, something I'd rehearsed in my mind so often that I didn't even question it when it finally landed. I smiled. Work had been brutal. My team was understaffed, and I was surviving on naps between video calls. But I told myself, they miss you. They want you there. So, I did something rare. I took time off. It took a week of battling my boss, reshuffling deadlines, and promising to stay reachable in case of emergencies. I booked a flight, packed a few small gifts, and imagined us talking, playing card games, laughing at cheesy holiday movies. The flight was long and miserable. The person next to me ate something that reeked like melted cheese and stale socks. But I didn't care. I was filled with that naive hope that persists despite years of being overlooked, the kind that shows up with a ribbon on its head. I stepped out of the rideshare, suitcase in hand, grinning. That's when I saw my dad's car, trunk open, 3 large suitcases being stuffed inside. For a fleeting moment, I thought they might be surprising me. Maybe we were all going somewhere together. Maybe this was the plan. But then my mom spotted me and waved cheerfully. "There she is," she called. "Right on time." I blinked. "On time for what?" She said. "The cruise, obviously." We didn't want to leave Max alone. She gestured toward the dog standing by the front door, staring at me. I thought I'd misheard. "You're going on a cruise?" My dad, slamming the trunk, said, "Just a quick escape. It's been a rough year." My brother Josh grinned from the passenger seat. "You'll be fine here. You like solitude. This is perfect for you." He said it like I was a gadget, built to function in silence. My mom handed me a crumpled note titled Max's Holiday Schedule. It listed things like scratch his ears gently, only clockwise, and turn on the chamomile diffuser at 7:30 p.m. I didn't say a word. I just smiled and nodded, the way I do when I'm swallowing tears. They gave me a brief hug, already distracted. My mom reminded me not to let Max eat dairy. My dad told me to expect a delivery on Tuesday. Then they climbed into the car and drove away. No one asked about my flight. No one invited me along. No one even asked if I'd eaten. Suddenly, I was alone, in the house I own. I hadn't lived with a dog in ages, but I'd officially taken Max in because I couldn't say no to my younger brother's pleading. I locked the door. Max patted over, tail wagging hesitantly. "Hey, buddy," I whispered, kneeling to pet him. He smelled like damp towels and old blankets. He looked thinner than I remembered, his coat rough. His water bowl was empty. His nails were overgrown. Something twisted inside me. I sank onto the couch, refilled his water, tossed out the stale food they'd left, and stared at the twinkling Christmas lights, half expecting them to form an apology. But nothing happened. The house was quiet. The heater hummed. Max curled up beside me. I'd convinced myself this year would be different, that they'd finally see me as their daughter, not just the one who sends money when the roof leaks or the bathroom remodel goes over budget. Their sister. I was wrong. I felt foolish for ever believing it, for thinking that if I worked hard enough, succeeded enough, or proved myself useful enough, they'd finally value me. Instead, they saw me as a convenience, free pet care, built-in house security, their own personal ATM, showing up on command. I tried to brush it off like I always had, making excuses for them. "It's not personal," I told myself. "I'm just hard to love. Maybe if I tweaked a few more things about myself." I rubbed my forehead, fighting tears. The air smelled of pine and vanilla candles. Decorations I hadn't put up surrounded me. They never thanked me for paying off the house, for caring for a dog they'd abandoned once the novelty faded. Worst of all, I still wanted them to call. I wanted them to turn the car around and say, "We're sorry. We didn't realize. We love you. Come with us." But they didn't. Max let out a soft sigh in his sleep. I looked at him for a long moment, then went to the kitchen and opened my laptop. I didn't know what I was searching for, but I knew I couldn't keep pretending this was normal. Because it wasn't. And maybe, just maybe, I was done waiting for them to care. Max nestled against me on the couch, his weight grounding me. He smelled like worn boots and quiet sadness, his fur patchy and tangled. I didn't mind. He was the only one who hadn't left. No one burst in saying, "Surprise! We didn't really abandon you. We love you." I kept staring at the empty living room, as if still expecting someone to show up. I didn't know why it hit so hard this time. Maybe because I'd convinced myself I mattered more than I did. That if I kept giving, they'd eventually see me as more than the person who paid for things. Maybe as someone they wanted around. I'd always thought if I could fix whatever was wrong with me, they'd let me in. Growing up, I believed something about me was defective. That I was missing something that made people shrug instead of hug. I was the odd one, the quiet one. The girl who organized her books by genre, who loved spreadsheets more than lip gloss, who found math puzzles more fun than parties. When I was 10, my mom half laughed, saying, "You weren't the easiest kid to connect with." Everyone said my brother's teasing was just how he showed love. When I cried, they called me too sensitive. So I stopped crying. That didn't help either. On my 8th birthday, they threw me a party. I was thrilled. My brothers even said they'd invited the neighborhood kids. I wore my best dress and brought out cupcakes I'd baked myself. But when I got to the yard, no one was there. Just a piece of paper taped to the gate with math problems scrawled on it. Josh laughed and said, "That's your kind of party." Then they all ran off to someone else's house for the real celebration. I sat on the porch steps for hours. I even solved the equations, thinking maybe that was the key. Maybe they'd come back if I got them all right. They didn't. By high school, I thought I could blend in better. I practiced laughing at the right moments. I wore clothes that didn't feel like me, borrowed from my sister. I joined clubs I didn't care about to seem less strange. I was still called intense, distant, robotic. I overheard my sister say, "You're not unattractive, you just don't know how to act like a normal girl." Still, I was the one left off invites. The one who got thank you texts only after sending money. The one told, "You're just hard to get close to." I got into an Ivy League school. My parents didn't come to my graduation saying, "We're proud, honey, but don't let it get to your head." They said flights were too expensive, until I saw photos from Josh's birthday trip to the Bahamas that same week. I told myself they just connected with him more, that it wasn't personal, that if I could be more likable, more giving, they'd see me. I graduated, got a job, sent money whenever they asked, paid off the mortgage on the house they lived in, even helped my sister through her divorce. I thought generosity could replace closeness, that if I gave enough, I'd bridge the gap. But you can't make someone love you if they've already decided not to. Sitting on that couch with Max pressed against me, I didn't feel anger or betrayal, just a slow, heavy realization. I was a placeholder in their lives, a walking bank account, and I felt like the biggest fool for ever thinking I could be more. I looked around at the mess they'd left. Dirty dishes on the counter, half-packed boxes, trash spilling over. They hadn't bothered to clean even though I was coming home for the first time in a year. To them, I wasn't a guest. I was the help, the responsible one, the safety net. Max looked thinner than I remembered. His water bowl smelled off, his nails too long. He whimpered softly when I scratched his ears, like he'd been waiting for someone to notice him. I leaned my head against the wall. Maybe I was the problem. Hard to love, too quiet, too strange, too precise. I replayed every moment with my family, trying to pinpoint when I became invisible. Maybe I shouldn't have come. Maybe my success made me arrogant. Maybe I stopped trying. Or maybe they never tried at all. I used to think boundaries were selfish, that only unkind people said no, that love required sacrifice, especially when it hurt. But now, I just felt small, exhausted, done. Max let out a soft grumble as I stood. I refilled his water, gave him a treat from the cupboard, and opened my laptop at the kitchen table. I didn't know what I was doing, but something had shifted inside me. Not shattered, not exploded, just realigned. I typed, "What to do if family lives in your house without paying rent?" I stared at the search results for a long time. I wasn't sure I'd act on anything. I didn't feel powerful or clever. I just felt done. Let them call me cold or dramatic. They'd already said it all. Max nudged my hand. I rubbed his head gently and whispered, "If there's something wrong with me, at least I'm finally doing something about it." I hit print on one of the articles. The paper slid out slowly, like it wasn't sure either. They came back on a Sunday evening. I was still there, working remotely after my boss approved it for a family emergency. Max leaped from his bed, barking more startled than excited, alerting me to the car pulling into the driveway. My pulse quickened more than I wanted to admit as I stood in the hallway. It felt like hearing a siren in a place that used to feel safe. Car doors slammed. Loud, familiar, careless voices. "I told you she'd be fine," my mom said. "She loves her alone time," Josh added. Probably alphabetized the spice rack for fun. More laughter. I didn't move. I watched through the peephole. My sister noticed first, jiggling the handle, then pulling harder, her face twisting in confusion. "Why's the door locked?" My dad tried his key. Nothing. Josh attempted to shove it open. Max barked again, louder, and I scooped him up before he got more upset. My arm trembled, but not from fear. Something quieter. Final. A knock. "Nicole, open the door. The lock's stuck." I sat on the couch, stroking Max's ears. Another knock, harder, then pounding. "Nicole, what the hell? Did you change the locks?" I didn't answer. I had. I'd changed the locks 3 days after they left. Not out of spite, but practicality, though I had plenty of feelings. The house was a mess. Max was neglected. Rooms showed signs of damage, unlocked doors, overflowing trash. As the legal owner, I had every right to secure it. I'd consulted a lawyer first. They expected everything to still revolve around them. "You can't do this! This is our house!" my sister shouted. Then the floodgates opened. "Nicole, open this door right now. We trusted you with the dog, the house, and you don't get to lock us out," my dad yelled. "It's not just yours!" But it was. Always had been. I stood slowly. My hands shook, but not from fear. Adrenaline, my body catching up to my decision. I didn't open the door, just spoke through it. "I secured the property," I said firmly. "You left it in disarray. Max was neglected. The house was unlocked. I spoke to a lawyer." Silence. Then my sister, furious. "You're out of your mind. You can't change the locks just because you feel like it." "I didn't," I said. "I'm the owner. I did what I had to do to protect my property." Josh started yelling about suing me, his voice hitting a pitch I hadn't heard since he mocked me at 16 for choosing a math competition over a family barbecue. "You ungrateful little, after all we've done for you," my dad added. I laughed, a sharp, breathless sound I didn't plan. "All you've done? You mean the endless money pit, free dog sitting, or the time you left me with math problems instead of a birthday party?" More shouting. I walked away. I called my lawyer, who told me not to open the door and to direct all communication through her office. Josh tried to jimmy the kitchen window. My sister screamed from the porch. My mom sobbed in the yard loud enough for neighbors to hear. My dad paced, stunned, like a customer handed an unexpected bill. I called the police. When they arrived, I showed them the deed, photos of the house's condition, and the vet's report on Max. The officers were calm, professional. One turned to my dad. "Sir, she owns the house. There's no lease. She's within her rights to secure it." My mom cried, "You need to stop this childish behavior and call me." Emily, "I can't believe you're doing this to me. You're so selfish." Mom, "This isn't a joke." Emily's heartbroken. "Do you even care?" Unknown number, probably my aunt. "We need to fix this family before it's too late." I groaned and shook my head. It was almost impressive how fast they went from ignoring me to expecting me to save the day. Then one message caught my eye. "Melissa, okay, I know you're ignoring everyone, but read this. Your mom's planning a family meeting when you get back. Just a heads up." I nearly laughed. They thought I'd come back and act like nothing happened? Let them guilt me and pretend it was all fine? Not a chance. I texted Melissa back. Me, "Thanks for the heads up, but I won't be there." Melissa, "Wait, what do you mean?" Me, "I'm extending my trip. They wanted to cut me out? Fine. I'm cutting myself off completely." I could almost picture her mix of shock and amusement. A moment later, she replied, "Melissa, okay, that's legendary. Tell me everything when you get back, whenever that is, LOL." I smiled, put down my phone, and opened my laptop. With a few clicks, my trip was extended. Another full week. No family, no drama, no forced family meetings. Just me and the ocean. They'd never given me peace. And the best part? They couldn't do a thing about it. Before heading to the beach, I sent one last text. Me to Mom and Emily. "Oh, so you want me around now? Sorry, I'm busy enjoying my overreaction. Good luck fixing your own mess." Then I blocked their numbers for good. I set my phone down, ordered another drink, and let the sun warm my skin. No guilt, no stress, no regrets, just peace. And it was the best choice I'd ever made.